vagina is a shell, a round, pink, tender shell, opening and closing, closing and opening. My vagina is a flower, an eccentric tulip, the center acute and deep, the scent delicate, petals gentle but sturdy. I didn't always know this. I learned this at the Vagina Workshop. I learned this from a woman who runs the Vagina Workshop, a woman who believes in vaginas, who really sees vaginas, who help other women see their own vaginas by seeing other women's vaginas. In the first session, the woman who runs the Vagina Workshop asked us to draw a picture of our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina. That's what she called it. She wanted to know what our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina looked like to us. One woman who was pregnant drew a big red mouth screaming with coins spilling out. Another, very skinny woman, drew a big serving plate with kind of a Devonshire pattern on it. I drew a huge black dot with little squiggly lines around it. The black dot was equal to the black hole in space, and the squiggly lines were meant to be people or things or just your basic atoms that get lost in there. I'd always thought of my vagina as an anatomical vacuum randomly sucking up particles and objects from the surrounding environment. I didn't think of my vagina in practical or biological terms. I did not, for example, see it as something attached to me. In the workshop, we were asked to look at our vaginas with hand mirrors, and then, after careful examination, we were to verbally report to the group what we saw. I must tell you that up until this point, everything that I knew about my vagina was based on hearsay or invention. I had never really seen the thing. It had never occurred to me to look at it. My vagina existed for me on some sort of abstract plane. It seemed so reductive and awkward looking at it like we were in the workshop on our shiny blue mats with our hand mirrors. It reminded me of how early astronomers must have felt with their primitive telescopes. I found it quite unsettling at first, my vagina. Like the first time you see a fish cut open and you discover this bloody, complex world inside right under the skin. It was so raw, so red, so fresh. And the thing that surprised me most was all the layers, layers upon layers, opening onto more layers. My vagina amazed me. I couldn't speak when it came my turn in the workshop. I was speechless. I had awakened to what the woman who ran the workshop called vaginal wonder. I just wanted to stay there, laying on my mat, my legs spread, examining my vagina forever. It was better than the Grand Canyon. Ancient and full of grace, it had the innocence and freshness of a proper English garden. It was funny, very funny. It made me laugh. It could hide and seek and open and close. Then, the woman who ran the workshop asked how many women in the workshop had had orgasms. 2 women tentatively raised their hands. I didn't raise my hand, but I'd had orgasms. I didn't raise my hand because they were accidental orgasms. They happened to me. They happened in my dreams, and I would wake in a splendor. They happened a lot in water, mostly in the bath, once at Cape Cod. They happened on horses, on bicycles, and sometimes on the treadmill at the gym. I didn't raise my hand because although I'd had orgasms, I didn't know how to make one happen. I thought it was a mystical, magical thing. I didn't want to interfere. It felt wrong to get involved, kind of contrived, manipulative. It felt very Hollywood. The surprise would be gone then, and the mystery. The problem, of course, is that the surprise had been gone for 2 years. I hadn't had a magical, accidental orgasm in a long time, and I was frantic. That's why I was at the Vagina Workshop. And then the moment had arrived that I both dreaded and longed for. The woman who ran the workshop asked us to take out our hand mirrors again and see if we could locate our clitoris. We were there, a group of us women, on our backs, on our mats, searching for our spots, our locust, our reason. And I don't know why, but I started to cry. Maybe it was the sheer embarrassment. Maybe it was knowing that I had to give up the fantasy, the enormous life-consuming fantasy that someone or something was going to do this for me. The fantasy that someone was coming to lead my life, to choose direction, to give me orgasms. I could feel the panic coming, the simultaneous terror and the realization that I had avoided finding my clitoris and rationalized it as mainstream and consumerist because I was, in fact, terrified that I did not have a clitoris. Terrified that I was one of those constitutionally incapable, one of those frigid, dead, shut down, dry, apricot tasting bitter, oh my God. I lay there with my mirror, looking for my spot, reaching with my fingers, and all I could think about was the time that I was 10 and I'd lost my gold ring with the emeralds in the lake. How I kept diving over and over to the bottom of the lake, running my hands over stones and fish and bottle caps and slimy stuff, but never my ring. The panic I felt, I knew I was going to be punished. The woman who ran the workshop saw my insane scrambling and sweating and heavy breathing. She came over. I told her, "It's gone. It's really gone. I've lost my clitoris. I should have worn it swimming. The woman who ran the workshop laughed. She calmly stroked my forehead. She told me my clitoris was not something I could lose. It was me. She said it was the essence of me. It was both my doorbell to my house and the house itself. I didn't have to find it. I had to be it. Okay, be it. Be my clitoris. Be my clitoris. I lay back and I closed my eyes and I put the mirror down. I watched myself floating above myself. I watched as slowly I began to approach myself and re-enter. It felt like an astronaut re-entering the surface of the earth. It was quiet, this re-entry, quiet and gentle. I bounced and landed and bounced. I came into my own muscles and blood cells, and then I slid into my vagina. And suddenly it was easy to fit. It was all warm and pulsing and ready and young and alive. And then, without looking, with my eyes still closed, I put my finger on what had suddenly become me. There was a little quivering at first, which urged me to stay. And then the quivering became a quake, an eruption, layers dividing and subdividing. The quaking broke open to an ancient horizon of light and silence, which opened into a plane of music and colors and innocence and longing. I felt connection, calling connection as I lay there, thrashing on my little blue mat. My vagina is a shell, a tulip, a destiny. I'm arriving as I'm beginning to leave. My vagina, me.